Let's begin. Okay, let's see what the requirements are. For 16 marks, they have asked you describe 8 audit risks and explain the auditor's response to each risk in planning the audit of each company. Okay, 1 mark, and you have to follow this format risk and response. Although I have only typed it out, but you should follow this particular format. Okay, 8 risk and explain the auditor's response to each. It is 1st of July 2005. You are an audit supervisor with Apricot and Co. and have been assigned to the audit of Peach Company, a soft drinks manufacturer which sells to wholesale customers. You are currently planning the audit for the year ending 31st of August 2005 and have received the following notes from the audit engagement partner. Materiality for the draft financial statements has been calculated as 1,53,000, which is 5% of PBT. A new accounting system was introduced via direct changeover in March 2005. It had been successfully tested prior to implementation, and management had such confidence in the new system that they did not consider it necessary to undertake further testing after implementation. Look at the first para. Tell me, do you see any risk here from an audit perspective? When you think about risk, think about what could go wrong.
So the further testing of the new uh, accounting system has not been taken place. They have not tested the after the implementation. They have only tested before. So I think it is the
It
risk.
should be maker checker.
I think, see, when you are moving in from an old one to a new accounting system, one problem that can happen definitely is key opening balance. See, last year ka closing balance has to become the current year ka opening balance. पुराने system का closing balance has to be current system का opening balance. The opening balances may not have been transferred correctly from the old system. That can be a problem. The system could have issues, and see, they are saying that the system is working properly, but what if there are issues, errors may come up, or misstatement of accounting records, वो भी एक issue हो सकता है. ठीक है. And how will the auditor react to it? First thing he should check is whatever balances were transferred from the old system, they are reflecting properly in the new system. ठीक है. Then what else should he do? He should test the new system controls कि भाई इसमें जो भी calculations है, mechanism है, working है, वो सब बराबर हो रहा है कि नहीं. He should check that, and if there are any system issues, those should be discussed with management. Do you agree? ठीक है. Okay. Now I am going to write the, or I have written the answer slightly differently. मैंने ऐसे लिखा है, but you have to write it in table format. ठीक है. मैं टाइप आउट कर रहा था तो I just kept on doing it that way. ठीक है. करण ये वाला पढ़ तो.
Yes, sir. Peachco has been developing a new production process which will help to reduce sugar in its drink by 50%. Development commenced on 1 November 2004 to 2004 and the total amount capitalized was 0.8 million. On 1st May 2005, the Food Safety Authority approved the process and production of the new reduced sugar soft drinks commenced.
Okay. इसमें क्या गड़बड़ लग रहा है? What can go wrong? करण, you have to tell me.
So maybe uh, they have capitalized the research cost also
Okay.
first, and, and the depreciation has been amortization have been charged or not,
So
and
amount, the risk is amortization is incorrectly calculated. Risk is that research cost may be wrongly capitalized as development cost, and development cost may not meet IAS 38 criteria. ठीक है. अब what is what should be your risk? Now you are an auditor, and आपको क्या ensure करना है कि when you express an audit opinion, your opinion should not go wrong. है ना? तो आप क्या check करेंगे with respect to this risk?
so we will check trace it back with the purchase but what
तेरा रिस्क ये था ना कि research cost has been wrongly capitalized as development cost.
we will trace the research we will check the research paper
पीएनआर
and
में
trace it back.
देखेंगे.
What is research paper? No. Use the right word, Karan.
सर चेक इट इन द
तो
Oh,
प्रॉफिट एंड
जिसको
लॉस
बोला है,
अकाउंट.
जिसको पूछा है वही आंसर देगा.
Yes, yes, yes. We will check the purchase invoices which have been included in the research cost and development cost and trace it back that they have been correctly included in the research cost. And
So
if they have
you
been,
should say review the capitalized cost and supporting documents. Okay. Then you will see your issue was the development cost has been it has been capitalized as development cost. You should check whether IAS 38 criteria has been met or not. Correct?
yes, sir.
One of
Mhm.
your concerns was amortization is incorrect. तो उसको कैसे sort करेंगे?
Recalculate the amortization cost uh,
And review
for the
the useful
development cost
life.
and review the yes and review the
Okay.
useful life of that.
Fair enough. So when you are talking about response, think of it like procedure only. But that procedure is now specifically with respect to the risk that you have stated. Correct? Okay. शर्मा जी आगे का पढ़िए आप तीसरा वाला पढ़िए.
Each company has inventories of high sugar drinks costing the 2,27,000, which it can no longer sell in its home market due to lack of demand. The directors believe Peach Company can sell the remaining inventories to an international customer at a price that marginally exceeds the cost, but Peach Company will be responsible for all the costs relating to delivery and shipping of the drink.
ओके. टेल मी सुकांत क्या गड़बड़ है यहाँ पे?
Sir,
What can go wrong? Tell me about that.
इन्वेंटरी सर obsolete तो नहीं होगी मतलब out of date.
Okay. Karan, what do you think?
So inventory valuation, how did they come up with 2,27,000? How did they
That
value
is
the
not, no, no,
inventory?
no, no. Describe the risk properly. Peach company का inventory है 2,27,000 that it can no longer sell in the home market. It
Yes.
believes it can be sold to an international customer, but there are significant costs that Peach company will incur. What is the risk? The risk is that there is a
Post
problem with inventory valuation. है ना? Inventory is overstated because the way information is given, it can be sold, but significant cost will have to be incurred. That means the NRV of the inventory might fall below the cost, right? So the fear is that inventory is overstated and cost of sale is understated. ये आपका रिस्क है. ठीक है. अब इस पे रिस्पॉन्स क्या होगा?
Check how did they check check how much they are getting after the like all the cost
पॉइंट बराबर
included.
है. पॉइंट बराबर है, बट फ्रेमिंग यू विल लूज मार्क्स इफ यू से दिस.
Yes, sir.
है ना? आई थिंक फीडबैक में भी यही लिख के दिया है मैंने, कैजुअल टोन शुड नॉट बी देयर. व्हाट यू
Yes,
शुड
sir.
इज यू शुड से review any agreement with the international customer to determine the likelihood of sale or to determine the probability of sale and the selling price for inventory. They are saying that it can be sold to an external customer. So there must be some correspondence, there must be some contract and get supporting documentation. Right. If they are saying that there is inventory which can be sold for so and so value and the selling costs are supposed to be 200 rupees, for example. तो कोई supporting documentation मांगो and then you can evaluate whether a write down is necessary or not. है ना?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. अक्षत नेक्स्ट वाला पॉइंट पढ़िए. रीड दिस पॉइंट.
सर एक्चुअली आई एम ट्रैवलिंग सो आई कैन स्पीक बट मेरे पीछे से बहुत नॉइज होगा
नो
इफ यू आर
प्रॉब्लम, वेट
कंफर्टेबल.
वेट, नो प्रॉब्लम. अलका आप पढ़िए.
Each company replaced two items of machinery in its production line to accommodate a change in the type of bottles used. There were significant staff costs involved in preparing the site for the new machinery and in testing that the new machinery was operating correctly. These costs have been included within the wages and salaries expense for the period. Despite the old machinery being sold at a significant loss, during the year the directors of Peach Company decided to extend the useful lives of plant and machinery by an average of 5 years.
Okay. What do you think could be the problem in this one? What is the risk that we are looking at? What could go wrong?
The plant and machinery cost may be understated
So,
because of the wages and salaries that should have not been capitalized.
okay, they have
So,
included. Yes, yes, go ahead, go ahead.
and the useful life of the asset they have not checked again. They should check because there is significant loss of after selling the old machinery, but they still didn't review the useful life of an asset of plant and machinery for a specific.
Okay, what do the others think?
The staff cost may be wrongly included in the wages and salaries expense.
So, this staff, it worked on creation of the building, right? They worked on creation of the building. So what happened in that process is, if staff is exclusively working on construction of the building, then their wages for that particular building bolo, machine bolo, whatever asset you can call it, if they work directly on the development creation of that asset, then their wages for that particular period should not be expensed off. It should be added to asset cost. There is a concern that these amounts have been included directly within the wages and salaries expense for that particular period. That means wages and salary cost is overstated and asset value is understated. That is a concern. जो capitalize होना चाहिए था, that has not been capitalized. That is a risk. And what else is a risk right now? Second part, despite the old machinery being sold at a significant loss during the year, the directors of Peach decided to extend the useful lives of plant and machinery by an average of 5 years. So what problem does it make? Increasing the useful life of the asset means there is a risk that depreciation
So,
is understated and asset value gets overstated. है ना? अब how will you so this can be a separate risk, by the way. Extending the useful life of plant and machinery by an average of 5 years can be a separate risk. Don't include it together. उसको अलग से रखो. ठीक है. Now, what should be the auditor's response? Think of it like a procedure. ये लाइफ एक्सटेंशन का बताना पहले.
discuss with the experts, management expert or auditor expert
अब थोड़ा सा mature आंसर दो.
with the supporting documentation.
First of all, the audit team should discuss with the directors before talking. We don't know whether an expert was involved ना. वो लिखा नहीं है. So first of all, you should talk with the directors. What is the rationale for any extension of asset lives and reduction of depreciation rates? ठीक है. What is the reason behind that? Get and then check what is the management's rationale, and then the revised useful life of a sample of assets should be compared to how often the assets are replaced. है ना? If you map it with how often the assets are replaced, you will get an idea how. if अगर useful life को आपने 10 years करके रखा है but assets are getting sold after 4.5 5 years, then your entire analysis is wrong, है ना? So in this case, that is another checkpoint that you should have.
So basically, sir, we should compare the asset with the similar assets so that we can find a useful life. Basis.
But we might not have a similar asset because they have increased the useful life of all the assets, na? So you should check how frequently are they being sold off. Correct?
The asset of similar category, ना.
बट अपने पास नहीं है ना, लेकिन वो
ओ नहीं नहीं, I just तब okay okay.
क्वेश्चन पढ़ो ना पहले. They have said ना, they have increased the lives of, decided to extend the useful lives of plant and machinery. So you will have to see how frequently are the other assets sold. You cannot compare your plant and machinery if you don't have a similar plant and machinery, right? ओके, चलो सुकांत नेक्स्ट पॉइंट पढ़ो।
वेजेस एंड सैलरीज वाले का तो रिस्पॉन्स लिखा नहीं।
अरे हाँ, वेजेस एंड सैलरीज का क्या रिस्पॉन्स होगा? You should discuss with the management what is the accounting treatment applied, correct? And you should review all the staff costs that are expensed out, and that will help you to understand how much amount should be capitalized and what amount should be expensed off. You should if there is an adjusting journal entry required, then it has to be told to the management ki, these are the findings and this is what we have noted. So then then it is the management's call. ठीक है?
Sir, can we obtain a breakdown of the asset and then check for the staff expenses, मतलब उसमें include हुए नहीं हुए हैं?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, sir.
But sir, it was stated that they have not included already, so we cannot ask this point.
What was mentioned?
It was mentioned that they have included wages and salaries, expense machinery also to the wages and salaries normally in
Yes, it
profit
is
and loss.
actually,
So
हाँ ये गलत थी, उन्होंने पहले से इंक्लूड कर दिया मेरे सैलरी में.
यहाँ पे ये रेलिवेंट नहीं हुआ ना पॉइंट फिर।
If all the cost has been expensed off, then ideally, though, you should review the individual cost items, individual expense bills, and from there you will know na, which item should ideally be expensed off and which one should be capitalized. Correct?
Yes.
ठीक है. So, let's first of all read the first 3-4 points, then go to the next ones. ठीक है? इसको देखो. Tell me when you want me to scroll.
The-
तो इतने शॉर्ट में मतलब टू द पॉइंट सफिशिएंट है?
मैंने वही बोला ना, ये मैंने एक्सप्लेन कर दिया, मैंने पॉइंट्स लिख दिए, सेंटेंसेस आप लोग बना सकते हो, है ना?
हाँ
ऐसे नहीं
जी।
yes.
लिखना है, इसको थोड़ा सेंटेंसेस में डेवलप करना है. गाइस प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, अभी आप स्किल लेवल पे हो ना. आखिरी मतलब व्हेन आई से समथिंग, प्लीज ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई आई एम सेइंग इट. मैंने पहले ही बोला था कि मैंने शॉर्ट में लिखा है पॉइंट्स, प्लस मैंने ये भी बोला था कि ये फॉर्मेट यूज नहीं करना है. देखो, दोनों तरफ से हम प्रॉब्लम नहीं कर सकते ना. पीछे का आंसर बहुत बड़ा है तो भी हम रोते हैं, मैंने शॉर्ट में आंसर दिया तो भी हम रोते हैं. तो ये रोने का जो अपना अप्रोच है ना, सबसे पहले ये बंद करना पड़ेगा बॉस. हर चीज में प्रॉब्लम नहीं ढूंढ सकते हम. ट्राई टू फाइंड सॉल्यूशंस. एंड हेल्प मी अंडरस्टैंड वन थिंग. हर टाइम आपका कॉन्फिडेंस कम क्यों रहता है सबका? आपके पास डिटेल लेक्चर्स है, 150 एमसीक्यू सॉल्व हो गए, इतने क्वेश्चंस में सॉल्व कर रहा हूं आपके साथ ऑलरेडी, ये सारे बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस का रिकॉर्डिंग है, इन डेप्थ डिस्कशन हो रहा है. अभी क्यों रोना है? मतलब अभी क्या प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है लाइफ में? चलिए, रीड.
Done, sir.
ठीक है।
Yes, sir. Done, sir.
Now let's go back. And I'm saying this for your benefit. Whatever I'm discussing with you is for your benefit. We cannot remain in a constant state of self-doubt. ठीक है? And if I'm scolding you, it's for your betterment. नहीं होगा मतलब if that is a problem, I'll not. I can move on. ठीक है? चलो सुकांत ये वाला पढ़ो. Member of finance team.
A member of the finance team was dismissed by a Peach company in May 20x5 after it was discovered that they had been fraudulently purchasing the non-current asset for personal use. Peach company started to investigate the fraud at the beginning of June 20x5 by reconciling all the physical assets to the non-current asset, asset register, but will not have completed the reconciliation by the year-end date.
Okay. यहाँ पे क्या हुआ है? Fraud हुआ है. Did we discuss a similar risk yesterday? When a fraud takes place, there is a concern that there could be fraudulent transactions that we are not yet aware of, है ना? जो we have not yet been able to identify those fraudulent transactions. Could that be one of the risks? Definitely. And if we have not been able to identify some of the fraudulent transactions, then some items or profit figure might be overstated. है ना? Reconciliation of physical assets to non-current register is ongoing. So there is a risk that अभी तक खत्म नहीं हुआ है. That means non-current assets are overstated because he has stolen it. So physically it is not there, but books of accounts में it is there, or that way. So there could be a mismatch, and that mismatch means the non-current asset register is overstated. ठीक है? How should the auditor deal with this? What should be his response?
Check for any fraudulent activities discovered after the year post year end, but before the auditors. Yes, post year end, we can check.
Okay. So the audit team, first of all, should understand and discuss with the management कि यार what was this fraud that you spoke about, right? How was the fraud detected? You should understand what internal controls were in place. Do you have other internal controls in place to identify similar frauds? They should get a list of all the non-current assets and एक एक करके they should match it. If there is a purchase order, there should be a non-current asset along with it. If there is not, then of course that will help you in the reconciliation part. ठीक है? Now, next one. अलका, ये वाला पढ़िए. पीच कंपनी वाला ये.
Peach Company entered into a contract on 1st May 2005 with a new supplier of bottles. Peach Company has committed to a minimum order quantity of 150,000 bottles per month for a period of 12 months commencing 1 May 2005. No costs have been accounted for to date as no amounts are payable for the first 6 months. Three equal installments are then payable across the remainder of the contract term. The Peach Company's previous supplier has launched a legal claim against Peach Company for breach of contract, stating that Peach Company did not have the right to exit the agreement early. Peach Company's lawyer have indicated that it is likely to lose the case and have estimated the amount payable to be the region of $0.3 millions in Hans.
Okay. So what risk do you foresee here? What can go wrong if that is my question? Then it entered into a contract on 1st of May with a new supplier of bottles. Peach Company has committed to a minimum order quantity of 1,50,000 bottles per month for a period of 12 months commencing 1st of May 2005. No costs have been accounted for to date as no amounts are payable for the first 6 months. Three equal installments are then payable across the remainder of the contract term. Peach Company's previous supplier has launched a legal claim against Peach Company for the breach of contract, stating that Peach did not have the right to exit the agreement early. Peach Company's lawyers have indicated that it is likely to lose the case and have estimated the amount payable in the region of 0.03 million. Second part, they believe that they will lose the case. That is the situation. Correct. So ideally, a provision should be created. है ना? But so if that is the situation कि यार आपको provision create करना है, then I think the risk could be that the provision amount is understated. है ना? Provision amount is understated and company has not recognized a liability in respect of this legal claim. Procedure that you will perform is check the correspondence with the lawyer to understand the likelihood of the supplier winning the case and what is the amount of payment to be made. And new supplier ka, what is the issue there? And Sukant, call me after the class today.
Okay, sir.
Peach Company has committed to a minimum order quantity of 1,50,000 bottles per month. No costs have been accounted for to date as no amounts are payable for the first 6 months. Three equal installments are then payable across the remainder of the contract term. ठीक है. So 1,50,000 per month they have committed, but they have not accounted for these costs. ठीक है. So there is a possibility that the costs don't get accounted for. So costs are not recognized. So cost is understated and liability is also understated. Correct? What should the audit team do as a response to this?
Correspond. They should correspond with the management that why they haven't included the cost which should be included, and what's the reasoning behind it, and how they are accounting for it. Check the accounting records and how they should account.
So they should review first of all the terms of the contract कि यार कब पे करना है कितना पे करना है. You should basically they should review the goods received but not yet invoiced because आपको तो accrual basis पे accounting करना पड़ेगा, right? So you should check कि delivery हो गया है but invoicing has not happened. So कितना bottles का payment accrual has come into existence and that should be recorded in books of accounts. ठीक है. अब last point. In order to fund the development of new production process and the purchase of new machinery, Peach Company obtained an interest-bearing bank loan of 1.2 million on 1st of March 2005, repayable over the next 3 years in arrears. In order to secure the bank loan, Peach Company agreed to maintain a minimum net profit margin and meet specific sales target. ठीक है. This is something they have agreed with the bank, which means if this minimum net profit margin is not achieved or the specific targets are not met, तो क्या होगा? You will have to repay the loan. Now there is a possibility that because you want to avoid the repayment of the loan, then what is the fear? The fear or the concern is that the transactions are manipulated in such a way so that you are deliberately showing a net profit margin that is agreed with them. So you are manipulating the books of accounts for this purpose, है ना? एक्सपेंस है लेकिन रिकॉर्ड नहीं कर रहे हैं, इनकम नहीं है फिर भी रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं. दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम, राइट? So you should do a review of the loan agreement, and then you should see first of all whether all of these items are correctly posted or not, है ना? वो उसमें डिले नहीं होना चाहिए. So you should see whether, in order to just match with these conditions, has the company done any kind of manipulation in books of accounts. ठीक है? And because here the professional skepticism wala point will come into play. Specifically, have they recognized excess revenue, or have they under recognized some of the cost? Also, whenever there is bank loan, one risk that you can always think of is the presentation risk, current versus non-current. है ना? So do you see the risks that we discussed yesterday and the risks that we are discussing today? Are they quite similar to each other?
Yes.
ठीक है. Tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a list of most asked risks in case of these items. ठीक है. You have to work on those. what एक ज्यादा नहीं है, थोड़े से ही है, more or less repeated nature में वही आता है आपको एग्जाम में. ठीक है. अब इसको देखिए, fraudulent purchases.
So scroll.
ठीक है. I will present it in a manner that you can read while I am away. ठीक है. Read these. I'll be back in a moment. ठीक है. Debt covenant is conditions in the loan agreement. ठीक है. That is what we mean by debt covenants. So the condition in the debt agreement could be something like the interest coverage ratio should not fall below 4 or net profit ratio should be more than 15%, something like this. Okay. So these are the risks that we can discuss. The next part of the question is what? Describe apricot companies' responsibilities in relation to the prevention and detection of fraud and error. ये full fledged theory question है. Next part is Peachco has been identified as and has been an audit client of Apricot Company for the last 15 years. The audit staff of Apricot and Company and the client of Peach and Company have always enjoyed a meal together at the start of the final audit. Alan Edward, the managing director of Peach, has this year suggested that instead of a meal, all the audit staff and client may go away for the weekend to a luxury hotel at Peach Company's expense. Client expense पे आप जा रहे हो. Alan Edward has also suggested that current year fee is renegotiated to be based on a percentage of Peach Company's net profit. This year, for the first time, Apricot and Company has been approached by Peach to help identify potential acquisition targets. Discussions are currently at an early stage and no work has been undertaken at present. The total fees in relation to the audit and other work would fall within acceptable levels in line with ACCA's Code of Conduct and Ethics. Identify and explain two ethical threats which may affect the independence of Apricot and Company during the audit of Peach Company. For each threat, recommend an appropriate safeguard to reduce the threat to an acceptable level. I want you to work on C1 and C2. I'll give you 5 minutes to think about the appropriate points. ठीक है? Start. Chalo, tell me, what ethical problems do you identify here? Ethical threats.
Familiarity and self-interest.
Very good. Explain further.
Familiarity as they enjoy the meal together,
Hmm.
meeting outside.
Right है, but थोड़ा और explain करो.
The holiday package cannot be accepted because because it contains a significant value, and if it is a meal, if if the meal is of insignificant value and it's not and it's of high value, it should be accepted.
Meal and all is okay because it
Hmm.
is insignificant in value terms.
Insignificant value,
What
yes.
is not okay? The
So the
luxury
weekend
stay
away.
for the weekend. It.
Hmm.
I don't believe it has an insignificant value. In my opinion, it could have quite a significant value. Correct? So, if you go for these kind of trips and all, what will happen?
Familiarity threats, self-interest threats,
It will
familiarity.
be
Self-interest.
you will not be able to challenge the assumptions made by the management, right? Or you will not be able to challenge any of the audit points because kya hoga? Somewhere you will be under that obligation ki yaar, now we have gone with these people for a nice trip and they have spent so much money on us. Now it is difficult for us to challenge the financial statements, to raise points and all of that. And don't you think as an auditor you have failed in your responsibility? If that is the case, then naturally you have failed. So this appears like a significant threat. You should not go for that particular proposal. Correct? What else?
Yes. The contingent fee and self-interest. Contingent fee will lead to self-interest threat.
Contingent fee will lead to self-interest threat. Okay, can you elaborate? Thoda sa?
Yes, sir. If if we are charging the audit fees in terms of their profit percentage, then we will think that we will misappropriate the funds profit at the year end, so we can charge the high amount of audit fees from this, and we can ignore many materials materials thing which they have like did fraudulently,
Okay,
which can be cancelled.
cool. Uh, there's one more point. They have been approached by Peach Company to assist with identification of acquisition targets. How do we deal with that?
The
Bataiye.
advocacy threat.
Explain.
Sir, we are advocating that no, not advocacy, maybe or should.
Advocacy बराबर है. I just want you to explain how.
So we are working for them, and we are like helping them to like acquire the acquisitions which maybe seem profitable to them. So I think that
Sukant, can you explain advocacy here? Alka, can you explain advocacy threat?
Uh, Sir, Apricot Company.
Mm-hmm. एडवोकेसी थ्रेट बराबर है बट क्यों?
uh, it is familiar with each company. So
ओके, familiar है तो मतलब I didn't get it. How is it advocacy threat here? Point बराबर है. I just want a little more uh, clarity on why
I think it's promoting.
you are promoting the interest of the client, right? You are pushing
Hmm.
for the client's betterment, and that itself could be a reason why. See, you are trying to push the client's cause in front of the banker bolo, yeah, in front of when the client is trying to acquire someone else. It creates an advocacy threat because it will क्या लगेगा कि you are promoting Peach company as an investor, which should not be the case, right? So, ये तो whenever you are trying to help the client get a bank loan, at that time also advocacy threat plays a role, है ना? So Apricot may be able to accept this work depending on the precise nature, but you will have to ensure that adequate safeguards are put in place, right? And care must be taken not to make management decisions. वो जो आपका assuming management responsibility वाला जो point है, that point you should not have in this case. As in, you should avoid getting into that zone. Correct? That is an adequate safeguard. And last one,
Yes, sir.
substantive procedures the auditor should perform to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence in relation to Peach Company's development expenditure. Can you describe the procedures to me right now as we speak?
sure.
Research cost wrongly capitalized as development expenditure.
Okay, we can have multiple items here, na? बताइए.
Verify the research cost capital research cost expense and development cost capitalized, and trace it back with the purchase with the purchases and ledgers of the respective.
Okay. Anything else? Ma'am, there are quite a few points actually.
Yes,
Alka would like to hear from you.
Yes, sir. I'm telling.
We are talking about the steps that you can, talking about substantive procedures basically, right? For development expenditure.
We can discuss with the team. No, with the management.
Discuss what with management?
Sorry, about the documentation.
This is no. आपने पढ़ा है, Alka? Have you done substantive
Development.
procedures?
Yes, sir. I have.
तो फिर
Like,
ऐसे आंसर्स क्यों आ रहे हैं आपसे?
So check whether the peach company is able to sell the uh, after after the expenditure.
Check the amortization cost charged during the year,
Hmm.
and check the useful life of the development expenditure and how they have come up with that useful life, which form the basis of the amortization.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
So which development expenditure will be capitalized and which will be expensed.
Okay. What else?
Review presentation and disclosure is as per IAS 38
चलो
intangible
ठीक
asset.
है, but that should always be the last point, huh? That should always be the last point. वो starting का point मत रखना कभी भी. ठीक है. What else? अभी इंटेंजिबल्स के तो हमने आपको प्रोसीजर याद भी करने को बोले थे, है ना? तो किए आप लोगों ने याद?
Yes, sir.
What else can you include here? गाइस आप याद नहीं करेंगे तो मैं कुछ नहीं कर पाऊंगा.
so we can check that amortization has been charged correctly or not, because it's commencing from 1 November, and that's why that it should not be overstated or understated amortization charges, which may lead to understated overstatement of profits for the year. This can be the point.
मतलब लिख सकते हो, ऐसे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बट यार आफ्टर सो मेनी क्वेश्चंस ना आई एक्सपेक्टेड समवॉट ऑफ टाइटर आंसर्स. आई एक्सपेक्टेड a little more concrete procedures from all of you. This is
Oh,
not working.
check the payroll records and check the payroll records that they have not included any wages and salaries that should be capitalized. We can check the payroll records,
Hmm.
and that they have not been expensed as profit and as normal as salaries and wages in profit and loss instead of being capitalized.
Hmm. ओके. ठीक है. मतलब हो रहा है, बट आई वुड हैव एक्सपेक्टेड फार. करंट बराबर चल रहा है, बट लैंग्वेज को थोड़ा स्ट्रॉन्ग करना पड़ेगा बॉस.
हाँ,
बहुत कैजुअल
तो अब
लैंग्वेज.
दोबारा से हाँ हाँ सर, तो मैं अब कोशिश करता हूँ दोबारा से एक बार पढ़ने की जो बुकिश लैंग्वेज है थोड़ी, और फिर इम्प्रूव करने की कोशिश करता हूँ सर
मतलब सी,
आज।
try to use the audit verbs agree, verify, मतलब try to use the correct cast, try to use the correct audit verbs, है ना? तो उससे क्या होता है, उसके आपके आंसर का क्वालिटी इंप्रूव होता है. Did everyone understand the risk part? Because I'm
Yes, sir.
happy with how today's session has gone. So I'm going to stop right now. And one small request from my